This week, Microsoft will roll out their digital personal assistant known as Cortana. Now, when we talk about digital personal assistants, you'll probably be familiar with Apple's version of that, which is Siri. Google also have a version called Google Now. The question is, when are these things ever actually useful? To debate that, we have our panel this week. She is Claire Porter. She is a freelance technology reporter and the editor of CNET, Seamus Byrne. Now, Seamus, you're actually a fan of Cortana. You like it. Why is that?
Yeah, look, I think one of the standout elements of Cortana compared to Siri and Google Now is that it's much more deeply integrated into the system. Well, I have to be careful about that because Siri is very much baked into the operating system of iOS. But Cortana has more visibility into applications and things that have been installed on a Windows system. And that's another good distinction for Cortana as well, is that this is going to be a part of Windows 10, which includes the desktop platform as well as the phone platform. So suddenly we are going to get to shift from something that's been mobile-centric, and I'm sure we'll talk mostly about the mobile stuff, but into something that whether you're sitting at your desk or on your phone, that it's going to start learning what it is you like to look for or what it is you like to use and the way in which you like to use it across all of those devices. And that potentially gets a lot smarter over time.
I have to say the maximum amount of use that Siri gets in my house is by way of my 1-year-old, who thinks it's the greatest thing in the world talking to this lady in the phone. Claire, you are an Apple user at the moment. Do you use Siri for anything?
No.
You should get a 1-year-old. They love that.
I'm good.
It's interesting. So, because this is the thing, Siri has been around in the Apple universe for some years now, and I do question its use. The only time I've found Siri to be actually useful in a grown-up, not toddler fashion has been in conjunction with the Apple Watch. The Apple Watch, I don't know what it is. It registers your voice cleaner and clearer and more actively. And it's also one of the most useful ways of using what is not a terribly useful device, I think. You can talk to it, you can send text through it. Are there ways in which you would use a voice-activated personal assistant in your life?
Probably the biggest way that I've seen it used quite commonly would be in the car environment now, and most people might not. Obviously, you need to have your little kind of cradle and all that sort of stuff set up. But now we're starting to get car head units. Your radio in your car starts to come with whether it's Apple's CarPlay integrated or Android Auto, which is where Google Now would be in your car. In that kind of environment where you can just shout out, Siri, I want this, or, okay, Google, find me this. And you don't want to have to look and you don't want to have to take your hands off the wheel. That environment becomes, I think, really compelling for using this sort of stuff. But I think the fact that when you end up having to trigger it with your hands and things on your phone and all the rest, suddenly you go, why didn't I just open the app and do the thing anyway?
I have that thought all the time with the watch in particular. It's like in my head when I got it, I assumed that, using the watch in the car would be super useful. But then I realized actually pressing a home button on a phone to activate Siri or something like that is 12 times easier than dicking around with it on your wrist.
It might be worth adding that Cortana has not currently got active listening, whereas Google Now, you can just go, okay, Google, and even if you haven't been using your phone for half an hour, it'll pick up and say, all right, what do you want? Whereas Cortana, you have to still go into the app to use the touch to activate it, which is a little frustrating if you're on the fly.
What if you could turn that on?
I'm sure it will turn on over time. I mean, when they're talking about the launch for Australia, they're getting ahead of the curve here because everybody always gets upset when the new version of Windows comes out and certain features are only available to Americans.
Yeah.
What they flagged is that this will become available to, I think, Windows Insider members. So essentially it'll be part of
a Windows Insider member?
Yeah, it's basically a beta testing club. There's a number of, I think there's 5 territories outside America where it's going to be available in this sort of test phase. But they're essentially, I think, trying to point out that they're doing the work to make it work in our country. But once it does turn on, I think there's no question that over time they'll definitely put in those triggers where you don't have to touch anything, that'll do the active listening, all that jazz.
So when you say they're targeting it for Australia, does that mean when it turns on, it won't call Wagga 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 Wagga?
It won't, because Cortana is the only voice-activated system that has been designed for specific dialects, whereas Siri and Google Now have been adapted. They've actually gone out and gotten people from China and from Japan and Vietnam and Australia and England to actually record the voices and to be like a cultural conduit for that service so that it does recognize colloquial languages.
They have very big aspirations here. Cortana is named after this elite artificial intelligence from the future in the Halo series of games. And they really do have this idea that over time it will really get to know the way you use your computer. Like I said earlier, it's going to be embedded in the new browser as part of Windows 10. It's going to be right there alongside everything you're doing. I think maybe they realize as well that Google has been winning that battle for a long time. If you say to, okay, Google, take me home, the off you go maps will trigger directions to take you to where you live.
All right, there is a lot more to discuss in this. Make sure you listen to the audio edition of the show. We are talking about all things Microsoft. Don't look bored. You know you're excited about Microsoft. It's such a big part of your life. I know you rolling your eyes at me. It's not. We're also talking to the most influential celebrities for under 18 on the internet. Who is that? You'll just have to go to the RN website to find out. Very big thank you to our panel. Don't forget, leave a comment down below and subscribe, because if you don't subscribe, we'll fire Roy, the video producer. Yeah, we will.